You also, clearly for you, it's very important to continue education. I mean, that's something you have done over and over and over again throughout your career. Why is that so important?
I think that you can't die on the vine intellectually. And the world is always changing, so you got to change with it. And the world's always building on its past, and so you have to do the same. And I also look at academic research in terms of what they're discovering about what we do. Academics do an exceedingly good job of telling you what you do wrong. And so from that perspective, I do spend a lot of time identifying the things that we do in our business and how can we improve them, or if they're even valid any longer based on how the world has evolved.
What do you look for in employees? So somebody brings a resume to you, they want to apply for a job with you, they are students here. What assets do you check off on that list? What are you looking for?
Well, we recognize that getting experience in our industry is very difficult. What we're looking for is, obviously marks are important, but how did they get their marks? When we sit down and we ask them questions, really we're not looking for the right answer. We're looking to the path to the answer. How did they get there? And what was their deductive logic? Were they reasoned in terms of getting there? And even if they got to the wrong place because there was probably some binary path that they went down that may have been the wrong answer, it was really how they got to that crossroads before they actually had to make a decision. So we spent a lot of time, death by 1,000 cuts. Every interviewee has about 11 interviews, 10 interviews, and so they will meet virtually
every employee?
Pretty much. Even for our interns, they'll go through probably a half dozen interviews, and then our professionals will go through about 11.
As a manager of people, I'm sure you always have people, somehow wanting to get your attention and recognition for what they did. But if you're the employee, how do you find the right way to communicate that to your boss that you are worth noticing?
There's a couple of things you do. First of all, do your job really, really well. A lot of people, once they get their job, they do their job. They're trained, then they do it. But then they never stop and ask, why am I doing this? And why is this job important? And so from my perspective, the people that actually get noticed are the ones that sit there and say, well, thank you very much for the job. Why is this job important? Now that I'm here, can you tell me what is the definition of success in this role? And so what we find is the students that come in, or even employees that we hire from other firms come in, the ones that are really curious about how does this all fit? And why are we doing it this way? We can do it a better way once they figure out the bigger picture. Those are the ones that really accelerate. And it's interesting, the people who do it really early on in their career, the people that end up doing it through their 50s, they just are always curious about how we can do something better.
You've also been a real champion of diversity in the workplace, in particular making sure there are more women in the workplace, moving up that ladder just like everybody else. Why is that so important to you?
A number of different reasons. And in fact, I would go one step further and say visible minorities as well. So I started to do as much research as possible. And what I discovered was there was a lot of research saying that there was a problem and no solutions. And in fact, the solutions that came were people like Sandberg's book, people who are in industry, but there was no academic research saying, how do we change the institutional norms of a business so that a true meritocracy exists for all? And so that the very best are coming up because we've removed all of the barriers. And so I got very frustrated with everything I read, and I guess I just said, look, it's one thing to be frustrated and do nothing, or you can do something. And so Dana and I decided that we would fund a professorship at UBC specifically on the subject. And my only ask of the school was, I wanted a professor who was going to solve for something. I'm tired of being beaten down as a male saying, we're the problem. I actually want a solution. And so they hired Jennifer Berdal, who's very solutions-based in her work. So my little contribution, I hope, is that we'll tear down the barriers